Good afternoon. This is Craig Zucker, and I'm bringing you Forward Focus. It's our opportunity today to talk with Marc Israel of Great Lakes Ventures, the parent company of a host of companies. That's a 100-plus-year-old company run here in Detroit, Michigan, as its home headquarters by Marc Israel, its president and third-generation family member, continuing this long and great history of this company. Marc, welcome to Forward Focus. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
That's great, Craig. I'm glad to be here.
And Marc, it's remarkable. As a business attorney here at Maddin Hauser, it's not often I get to talk to the owner and operator of a 100-year-old business. We've all lived here in Detroit. We've seen the family-owned companies, many of them come and go. We've seen national companies come and go. And yet I know you well, Marc, and your business, thank God, is alive and well and flourishing. And you're a third-generation operator of this business. When did you open your doors? When did Great Lakes open its doors?
Absolutely. We're actually just under 100 years old. In 1933, my great uncle started the company in downtown Detroit.
And so here we are today, 2025, halfway through the year, with a flourishing business, doing well. And there's got to be a secret in the sauce, and we're going to talk about that. So, Marc, we'll start with that. We're going to dive right in. And if you would, for our listeners, tell us, you're a third-generation business operator. You got an almost 100-year-old business here, and you've expanded, I don't know how many times. What's the secret, Marc?
If I was going to just nail down a couple things there, Craig, I think it's staying focused. We're a commercial kitchen contractor putting in commercial kitchens throughout the United States. It's just knowing what we're good at, staying focused, hiring the right people, and doing the best job we can for all our clients. I don't think it's a secret of how to stay in business. I think it just takes a lot of, I'm going to go back to that word, focus and determination, and understanding what you are and how to service a client. But yeah, you don't get to one generation to the next, and actually have a fourth generation working here who, in the business, who I think is going to continue it to have at least an opportunity to even get to a fifth one, because he's similar to myself as far as looking forward and taking care of business.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. So I tell you what, tell us a little bit of the history of the company, if
Sure.
you would. Obviously, how did it start, and what did it start as, and what is it today? Give us a little of that.
Sure. 1933, my great uncle started the business. He had worked for a food service equipment dealership in Chicago called Albert Pick that's no longer actually went out of business, I think, in the 1960s. Him and his wife, who actually, from a legal standpoint, was the first female member of the Michigan State Bar Association.
Wow.
Who I call her Aunt Belle, but her name was Belle Siegel. They did not have any children. My dad and his brother took over the company in the 1960s, early 70s. And I'm the only generation of, the only member of the third generation that was interested in joining the business. When I took over, we were in downtown Detroit at corner of Grand River and First, had a flourishing showroom, and clientele would come in and all day long and do a retail business along with a wholesale business. Back in the 67 riots, we kind of closed up the retail operation and became focused on projects only, what we call heavy equipment or kitchen equipment contracting.
And when did you join the company?
I joined the company. I had a parking lot striping business with my brothers that we started in high school, flourished all through college, which really was our summer job, became a full-time business. I was not really interested in continuing that world. So I joined just after graduating college, a couple of years, about 1983. And at that time, we were less than 20 employees, and stayed pretty much focused in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio.
And I take it you were like a mailroom up guy. You started at the bottom and worked your way up the company?
I was in the warehouse pushing refrigerators that weighed probably 10 times as much as me, because I was this little skinny guy, and then drove trucks, did buyout brochures sitting on the ping pong table in my basement. Right, they would bring all this paperwork home, and I had to file it and get it organized. So I definitely have done pretty much every job other than the financial part, the accounting part of this company.
And as you worked your way up, how did you see your role in the company expanding? I take it there was some kind of a transition where maybe you phased up and your father and uncle phased down. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, my uncle was gone by then, but my dad was slowing down. Wanted to, kind of enjoy his later years. I just kind of evolved into it. I had plans. He didn't really want to do any changes. So it really, Craig, I kind of built a company inside a company. I took a couple key people and I made some decisions that he wasn't really a fan of. Joining a national buying group, expanding. Our first expansion was into, I was Kalamazoo, Michigan. He didn't want to do it. I just ended up going it. I knew my future was dependent on me making changes because what our formula there in the 80s when I first joined was not going to be sustainable long term.
Well, that's a big jump. And that's how we started this podcast today is forward focusing. And obviously you saw something I trust that your dad did.
No, my dad, I think he was like many businesses that were they're now our history or historical companies that we've all heard of. He had his way of doing things, and it was something he was comfortable with, something he knew. He was really good at it. But looking forward, looking past those parameters or guidelines that he kept himself in, was it. That's all he was capable of doing. I just knew that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Well, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of like your dad's mindset. I don't like change.
Mm-hmm.
You know me well, and
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that loves change. And, but I've also embraced the concept that if you don't change with the times, you're dead in the water. I trust
Right.
you see that, you
Oh,
believe in it.
absolutely. I mean, I think, I do know you well, and I think I think you and I are similar in a lot of ways. I think we like routine. I'm not so sure you don't like change, but I'm a member of, I like my routines. I get up, work out, go to the Detroit Athletic Club. I come here to work. So I have a routine, but you have to change. There's no way that any company can survive, even no more so now than even in the 80s and 90s. So that I saw. And one of the priorities I have is always taking care of the future. I always had to look to the future. And that was from way back when I first had my first child 32 years ago. I knew I was going to be the provider, and I knew I needed to do the right things for my family, basically.
Forward focus is, I like to use that word,
Yeah.
without facing challenges, I take it. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in growing your business and changing with the times?
Let me refer to like a couple moments. You have certain moments in your career that kind of stand out, or for good or for bad. There was a moment, I think everyone gets a little burnt out on their jobs. I think people, everyone has some ebbs and flows. And one of my ebbs or downtimes were thinking, hey, I have these two young men. My daughter, I knew was never going to be interested. I didn't know if they were going to ever be interested in this business or not. I pushed them in no direction whatsoever. Wherever they evolved. But sometime I said, hey, would I be happy giving this business to my kids at the way it is now? And the answer was no. So that's really what sparked those changes when they were really young men and thinking that, hey, my job is to provide a possible opportunity for their futures. And that's kind of what started me on this forward focus, forward thinking, always looking to the future, never really resting on my laurels. So that sparked it. And since then, the results speak for themselves, basically.
Well, yeah, and I want to talk about that in your corporate structure and all the companies you have and so on. But when you were coming up the ladder, as we said, started in the mailroom and worked your way up, and as you started to come up and your father started to slide down, what would you say was your biggest change you implemented in the direction of the business? Your first one?
It was really just becoming a visionary, I know we keep going to that forward focus, but that was really it. It was making decisions based on future results, not on present results, not on past laurels. That was really it. So to tell you that there was a change, it was really just a philosophy change, a way of looking at things, and always making the decision that takes you to the next level, looking with the future.
So I know when you were at the wheel, you started to take over the wheel, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It was Great Lakes Hotel Supply.
Correct.
Today, it operates under an umbrella, the umbrella being Great Lakes Ventures,
Correct.
right? Now, under Great Lakes Ventures, the organization or the corporate flow chart goes into a lot of directions.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I can elaborate a little bit on that.
Or tell us about what's under Great Lakes Ventures today.
Okay. We started as Great Lakes Hotel Supply. That name still exists, and that's still the main division of our company, which is here located for many years in downtown Detroit on Grand River. Now we're in 9 Mile in Southfield. Now we have Great Lakes Hotel Supply, Great Lakes West in Kalamazoo, Great Lakes East in Pittsburgh. We have Hotel Supply has offices in Denver, Las Vegas, North Carolina, Florida, Dallas, and New York City. We also have a really fun division, one that I really, really enjoy being associated with, called Great Lakes Culinary Center here, the back of our building in 9 Mile, just west of Telegraph, that we host weddings, parties. And it's just a fun room. It's a lot of energy, always positive energy. We're usually celebrating something of, someone's family's happy moments. And, so those are really the basics for right now. And now,
And
go ahead.
when you were at the wheel in the early days, how many employees did you say?
When I took over, I think we had 17 employees, including some installers. So we were really just, there was my dad, myself, a couple other guys who were in, doing drafting and estimating, and a couple of young ladies that are used to talking to a dictaphone and would take dictation.
I remember those days. I remember those days well.
I like those days, actually.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice. Now I got to do all the typing myself. So,
And today, how many employees?
we are, we hired 2 this week, so we're probably up to 170.
Wow, look at that. That's tremendous growth.
Yeah.
And so I always equate growth, change, forward focus with risks. Every one of my clients talks to me about risks, and we talk about pros and cons, risk versus non-risk. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? How do you do that? How do you evaluate your risk side of growth and expansion and so on?
Well, rightfully so. Everyone has risk. Every decision has a risk, a good outcome, a poor outcome, or a relatively neutral outcome. My secret, I think I said earlier, is really, I had a picture of my 3 kids that were over my left shoulder, and they're little kids smiling away. Every decision or every risk was what's best for them. What's best for, which is really another way of saying what's best for the future. So that was my way of doing it, because as long as I looked at my kids, I'm looking at the future. And that's really how I would take risk-averse decisions or not. Everyone's calculated. Everyone, is dependent on myself and my people doing what I think is the right thing. And that's how we ended up doing it. It really breaks down the way I look at it in a very simple manner. Some people, stay up at night. What if this, and what if it means to death? My only question is, what's best for them?
Well, and I've lived that with you. I distinctly remember when you moved into your Southfield location, you had all this extra space, and you went to bed one night.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd been out with you, or we had talked, and you went to bed one night, and you woke up the next morning and you said, "Hey, I'm opening up a culinary center." And I sat back and was amazed. I mean, overnight, you had this vision. In fact, you told me, I had this vision. I thought it through. And within 2 days, you began implementing and opening and establishing Great Lakes Culinary Center. And it really came down that way, didn't it? It was
Exactly how it went. I literally came up with an idea while sure tossing and turning in bed. Showed up the next morning, told my 2 people that were my vice president, and they both said, "You're crazy. That's never going to work." And I just said, "Hey, we have to do this, because I don't think our present business will be sustainable, quite frankly."
And I remember you started it as a showroom for great chefs to come in and cook on the latest, greatest equipment. And then you said to me, "Hey, this is a great entertainment space." And next thing I knew, you're hosting Our Detroit, and 250 people are showing up for dinners with great chefs in the city, and great wine, and a great evening, and weddings and bar mitzvahs and all kinds of stuff. celebrations, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
it's
We've been named Our Magazine's wedding venue of the year, I think 2 years. I've had a chef of the year. I've had a bartender of the year. Um, yeah. And really what it was, Craig, it was a place for chefs to have a playground to test it. Our equipment is expensive. So let's give them an opportunity to actually turn it on instead of looking at a spec sheet, looking at a picture and say, hey, that looks nice. And one of the things I do is I like working weekends. I like working when some of the off hours. So basically I said, what am I going to do with this equipment when it's not being used by local chefs or chefs from out of town that might be conducting interviews, things like that. And that's when I came up with the venue of being a wedding banquet type venue. Because one of my lessons I learned from my great uncle, who died probably when I was in 14 or 15, but he would take me to work every Saturday. He said, the worst thing we can do is sell a piece of equipment to someone who's not going to use it. And of that equipment, I needed it and have it used on weekends and on things when I couldn't show it off to other people.
and it's just terrific. And in my law practice, I have business people just like you. They bring me ideas, and they want to take it from paper to reality. And it's not our job to evaluate. Well, we talk about the risk and so on. Of course, we want to make a solid decision, but the risk is always with the business person. And um, some people call it luck. I don't think it's luck. I think it's good thought, and it's certain values. Again, I want to talk about that as well.
Right.
That drives those risk analysis and drives the new venture, the new idea forward. And you've just always been, I know you to be a risk taker, but there's got to be behind those risks core values that guide your business. And so what are those?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can talk to you about my core values, but that risk, I mean, that was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in this equipment and the state of art exhaust hoods and utility distribution system. So yeah, there was definitely risk, because if this didn't work, you're just throwing away hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a bunch of stainless steel. But we have, the core values that bind us, build us, keep us moving there's four core values. Real quick, the four of them are golden rule, own it, complete it, school bell, and make it real. So golden rule kind of speaks for itself. It's the integrity with respect and enthusiasm and efficiency to each other, our vendors, and our valued clients. Own it and complete it is listen, learn, and commit to the task or project at hand. No detail is too small, no task too menial. Focus on results and finish strong. School belt, its complacency is a threat. And this is kind of what we've been talking about. Knowledge is a tool, continuing education. The thirst for knowledge is our DNA. Get better. And make it real. It sums it up as work hard, work smart, work together. Be humbly confident to deliver and exceed all team and customers' expectations. Simple.
It's terrific. It's a terrific model, terrific platform to run your business from. And I take it your employees totally embrace your core values.
Yeah, you can't become an employee without those four core values. In fact, my son, my youngest son, Adam, who has joined our business and is going to be exceptional as he continues to get his experience, applied for a job, and he didn't have my four core values when he graduated from college, and I didn't hire him. I mean,
You're telling the listeners, didn't hire your own son.
100%. There are no exceptions. I don't care who your last name is. And I would hold myself to that. If I didn't have my focus on those four core values, I don't deserve to be here. So he literally went home that night, told his mom, Dad didn't hire me. Mom wanted to know why. I knew this was going to happen. I handed her the core values. She read them, and I said, do you think he has all four? She goes, no, he doesn't have one of these. I said, that's why I didn't hire him. And to her credit, backed me up and said, hey, figure it out. So he did. A couple years later,
I think he's got him down now.
He's got him now. I think he's got him really well down. I don't think he's missing a beat on him now.
So, and he's coming in as the fourth generation. So
Correct.
I would imagine, and I know your son, I know Adam, and he's terrific.
Thanks.
But Adam's not you, and you weren't your dad, and your dad wasn't his dad, and so on.
Right.
So Adam's probably got his own view of the company going forward.
Yeah. Adam's going to, I think you hit it on the head. Every generation has to have their own path. I think if you're going to follow the path before, you pick out the good parts, you pick out the strong parts, you pick out the things that are fundamentally sound. But to think that you just can follow that path is the way I think you're going to not make it to the next generation. So yeah, did I blaze my own path? Absolutely. Do I expect Adam to do things differently than me? I think he has to, or else or his family or his kids will not have an opportunity to continue it.
So has he talked to you about his view? Has he shared any of the future vision?
No, but I know he doesn't think I'm right all the time. That I do know.
Well, and you didn't think your dad was right,
Well,
so
I know he wasn't right, but that's all right.
okay. Look, you proved him wrong,
Right.
which is a good outcome.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, I think he's absorbing information, good, bad, or indifferent, making his own choices. He's been in Madison, Wisconsin. He just moved back here to corporate headquarters, which is here in Southfield, literally 1 week ago. I think he's going to just blaze his own opportunities and take things he's learned from myself and generations before and add on to them.
Is this going to be similar to it was with you and your father? You're going to kind of phase down over time, and he'll phase up.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be realistic. I mean, Craig, there's certain aspects of business that I'm not the right guy for. I mean, I'm not, we're investing close to $1 million into a new ERP system. I'm probably not the guy who's going to learn it. I just need to know how it's done. So I think that's going to be probably his opportunity to start making his own mark and blazing his own path.
Yeah, I'm sure, being his age and with his view, he brings a fresh touch to the company now, and it's
absolutely. I think, good or bad, I think over time, business people get a little hardened or maybe a little stuck in their own ways. I'm not naive. I know that, hey, it worked for me. I'm probably going to stay with it, but I'm also open enough to listen to outsiders. And right now, he's an outside view telling me how to get better, and I'm going to listen.
No, that's great, Mark. And I know you're a planner. I take it you have a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan. How far out do you go?
We have actually a 1-year, 3-year, and a 10-year plan, and they're written down, and everyone knows them. Are actually all 160 some odd people know what they are because we share those views with them. But they change. I mean, things change, circumstances change, so you have to be adaptable to them. But they don't change in their focus and what they're trying to accomplish.
So you're flexible, and you see them.
We change them. We have quarterly meetings that our leadership team meets. Once a year, we go offsite for 2 days. We have a business implementer that helps us guide us. It's really important, I think, to have an outside view because, no one can see everything that's going on in the world, and having expert views can only help.
So you bring up a great point, Mark. You're a motivated guy. Who would you name as the single most influential person in your career and in your life?
I think it was my dad.
Wow, what a great tribute. And that's terrific.
Yeah, there was no doubt about it. He was he guided our family well. He was a very tough dude. Didn't take crap from anyone.
I remember your dad. Not a lot of people that I was really scared of. I was scared of your dad.
He had that presence. He would come into a room and he had that ability to make people feel intimidated without even, I don't think he knew he had that skill. But, there were kids on our side of our house when we would play football. They didn't want to come in for a glass of water. You know what? I'll just drink from the fountain. I don't want to see big skin. And
so he really left his mark on you.
Absolutely. I think he left his mark on myself, my brothers, and pretty much everyone he came in contact with.
That's a great tribute to your dad, and I kind of remember him that way too, Mark. So it says a lot. Okay, Mark, tell me real quick, a couple class questions.
Sure.
Favorite book, Mark.
Oh boy, favorite book. So it's been a while, but it's called The Pillars of Earth by Ken Follett. Well, it was about a guy who built cathedrals back in the 1100s or whatever, and all the trials and tribulations. It really kind of, the takeaway would be just fortitude and keep pursuing, just keep taking one step in front of the other and just keep focus on what you need to do to get whatever you need to get accomplished.
Well, sort of what you have adopted in your everyday.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, I want you to finish this sentence for me. When I wake up in the morning, the most important thing to me is
staying alive and getting to bed that night. You know what? That's a good question, Craig. I get, just seize the day. I mean, you know what? We only have a certain amount of days. Everyone has them. I want to make sure there's a lot of them. So I want to take care of my health. I want to take care of my family, and I want to get work done so that we can continue to flourish. So, I mean, I love life. I like to get up and enjoy that day.
Well, I know you do, and you're a ton of fun, and I love working with you, your business, your employees. What you've done is absolutely amazing. Tell our listeners where they can find you. They want to get a hold of you,
Sure.
where you're at.
Our website is, if you just Google Great Lakes Hotel Supply, you will come up. But if you want to get a hold of me, I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone wants to call. It's Marc, MARC, at glhsco.com, Great Lakes Hotel Supply Company.com. Anyone looking for commercial food service equipment, I'll be willing to help.
No, and I know you're terrific at getting back to people, and your response time is
by the way, Craig, everyone is. That's one of them. You have to call back everyone within 24 hours, period.
Well, I love it, Marc. And there's really no secret here as to why this business is 90 whatever years old it is and growing, and a fourth generation coming in. Wish you the best of luck. It was great having you on Forward Focus. You are the prime, perfect candidate for Forward Focus because you believe in forward focusing. So, for our viewers, I'm Craig Zucker. I'm an attorney at Maddin Hauser. I'm here in Southfield, Michigan. See Zucker at maddinhauser.com. We're open for business 24/7 by a quick email, phone call, 248-359-7522. Reach out to me anytime. And Marc, simply great having you on Forward Focus today, and wish you all the best.
Great. Thank you, Craig. This was a lot of fun.